We're back from Dubai for a big matchup as the Balan Alaskan Knights take on the SG Alpine Warriors. The players are set. They're ready to go. I think for Magnus, it's not just about winning today. He wants to win the whole thing. He's here to get the championship. Magnus feels strongly about the team, and we've got the Sicil for the kill.
He did not change posture too much, but he did kind of deflate a little bit upon seeing this move, because this move generally is the no-fun move against the Sicilian. It doesn't let you do what you want to do when you generally choose that opening.
Although Magnus's response here is not the most popular way to play against the C3 Sicilian, and I think he's just trying to take Jan out of theory.
In as much as possible, yes. And Magnus generally, I think, very much likes these early advances with the pawns on e5 and c5. He does that in a lot of openings, and does it here as well. It is not the prescribed way, quote-unquote, to meet the Alpine, but Magnus clearly has put some thought into it.
Let's zoom out and take a look at the action all along. This is the opening phase of the match between these two teams. The SG Alpine Warriors, good on their path to make it to the grand finals. The Balan Alaskan Knights currently struggling.
Absolutely, and maybe we can go to board number 2. Yes, that's where I wanted to go to. Gukesh has the black pieces here, Nodirbek with white. It seemed like a Karo Khan opening. I think the main thing about these youngsters is that you give them the most bland food out there, they will add their spices and make it interesting. This one is going generally could lead to a very stable, solid game. But I think here Gukesh and Nodirbek are going to make it exciting.
It's already very exciting. Every pawn move has its own set of consequences. With that last move by Nodirbek, we see that this square has been weakened. It's not guarded by the pawn anymore. And immediately Gukesh plans to get more of a stronghold there, develops his knight, controlling that square. The queen falls back. More development with the pieces. And the big question, is Black's king going to find safety on the left side of the board or on the right side? We have been discussing the players. Now, the one player who's been a hero of the SG Alpine Warriors is that Prodigy board. Ronak versus Pragnananda. Pragnananda has scored 4.5 points out of 5 games.
Yeah, he's been unstoppable, and he's facing Raunak. And if we remember the last time they played, the game was going to end in a draw, and then Prag sort of trapped Raunak's rook. And let's see what's happening today. I think Prag has a very nice position out of the opening.
I'm not so sure. It's somewhat undefined, because White does achieve some progress on the king side. The knight Prague has out there will be chased away by the H pawn, and you have to wonder where the black king is supposed to go, because perhaps if you castle to the right side of the board, you might come under some attack. But Black definitely has his own trumps. The semi-open c-file is a very nice place for a rook, and there will be definite play for Prague as well.
Right.
And with that last move, there is a threat on the board. If Black was to be a little careless right now, and let's say make a move on the queen side, then Sagar White can continue the avalanche on the king side, hitting that knight, forcing you to fall back. And now there's the option to simply grab a very important pawn, attacking the rook. So the move that was just played by Ronak, Prague needs to be a little careful and stop White from advancing further.
Maybe it's time for us to go to another board. Maybe the third one, Rajapov versus Arjun, because last time it was Rajapov who had beaten Arjun.
That was a brilliant game, and one of the finishes of the tournament so far, I would say. And interestingly, 2 of the finishes that really come to mind in the first half of the tournament both feature the black player winning by sacrificing something on the G2 square. And one of those games was Arjun against Rajabov with a very beautiful queen sacrifice, which ended the game on the spot. And the other one is Raunak against Jonas Bier. Today, for the second match running, I have to wonder if there is some team prep going on, because you see there on screen Arjun playing the Stonewall system, which is, I think, just looking at your screen will explain to you why it's called that. You build this wall, and you feel very proud about it. Your pieces are slightly stuck behind it, which is why not everybody really loves this structure, but it's very solid, as the name implies.
Well, I think that's the board that catches our attention. Look at that knight planted in white's camp. Let's rush over to board number 5. Nino Battashvili for the Balan Alaskan Knights against Elizabeth Pats. And there we have both with the same pose, head and hands there. Extremely critical moment. Down to under 7 minutes on the clock, and the game is just getting started.
So overall, do we say that currently Balan Alaskan Knights is slightly ahead in this match?
It does look that way.
Mm.
We've gone across the boards, and it feels that white is the one who is currently pushing on the board. But this one, of course, anything can happen. Right now, the last move that has been played, Bishop's offering trade. I like Sagar's idea of falling back with the knight, trying to get rid of this very strong piece that black has.
I like what Prague is doing here. White managed to get the knight that was somewhat misplaced to the best square on the board, arguably, that square where it cannot be challenged by opponent spawns. But Prague restructured his position to immediately attack that knight and not let it just be parked there forever.
Right. And also, I think in the battle between Raunak and Prague, Prague has a psychological edge. Not only did he beat him here, but also they played at the Sharjah Masters recently, and Prague beat him there as well. So I think Raunak needs to get a win in against Prague to feel a little better about his chances.
Oof, let's get our bird's eye view up because we're seeing pawn storms down the board, and there we've got Zhongyi against Arena Crush. The last time the two played, Arena Crush was the winner of that game.
That was a hugely important victory for the Alpine Warriors because at that moment it looked like they were going to lose the match, and then suddenly Prague won that seemingly very level endgame against Raunak, and Arena Crush also won and the endgame I was pretty sure she was not going to win. So yeah, it's an important possibility for revenge here for Zhongyi.
You know, somehow black's pawns are beautifully positioned, but in a way, it's only white who can kind of open up the queen side.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that mean that Tan Zhongyi holds all the cards in her hands right now?
I would assume so. It's very difficult to imagine how black opens this up without harming her position first and foremost. The only pawn break really available to Irina here is the move e6, e5, which I think will probably cost her the game pretty much immediately. I think the amount of preparation she needs to do to make that move playable is such that it will never really even be entertained.
I want to go to the icon board. Can we go there? Because it seems like Magnus is slowly turning on the heat.
Yeah, Magnus is trying to get something out of this. As Tanya correctly said, perhaps it was you, Sagar, that despite being a pawn down, the fact that Jan has the bishop pair gives him very, very good drawing chances here. He is not really that much worse. But if anyone can create problems here for Jan, it is Magnus, and he's doing his utmost to create something, get something going here.
Wow. This a pawn, Tanya, does look very scary, right? Or do you think it's okay? Oh, check to the king. If you go downward, there could be a mating net.
I can't take your knight, unfortunately, because the rook does pin the king. And as you're pointing out that the move king g1 would be a big... Black has a brilliant intermezzo. You step back with the knight, you give a huge check to the king, and you end up picking up the bishop with the knight, supporting your pieces, and this would be winning on the spot. This tactic is unavailable to Jan Nepomniachtchi. He falls back with the bishop instead.
Yeah, and then the rook still attacks the bishop, and the trade finally does happen. Those light pieces come off the minor pieces come off the board, and Jan says, "I don't really care about my pawn on the king's side. I do want to pick up your outside passer," and goes with the rook after it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
In the
this
meantime,
should be
elsewhere
good.
there's a lot of developments.
Balan Alaskan Knights are going to get their first point over here.
Just two knights, two minor pieces, Peter, for a queen.
What I'm going to say is, I can see why Black isn't resigning yet, but that's about as good as I can describe Black's situation here.
You really need to wear very strong glasses and lenses to see that right now.
Yeah.
I think one of the big reasons is because it's a team championship. He rushed to the board where Arjun Aragesti is playing with 7 seconds against Temur
Oh, let's
Ratapov.
go to board number 3. That is going to be a very, very important game from the match perspective, because whoever wins this, I think, will take the match. Well, maybe not, but could be likely.
I think Arjun doesn't know how poorly his team is doing, because that final move is basically a draw offer. And yeah, Timur will take.
Oh, they drew.
Yeah.
They drew.
Immediately.
Oh my god, that's bad news for SG.
And that's because of the different color complex. Bishop, trade of the queens is game over immediately. Arjun stops to analyze, but we've got to rush over to
That's
the
a
other
draw.
board.
That's
This
a
one
draw.
ends peacefully, Sagar, but I think it's the only game that's going to end peacefully. This is a huge board. We've already got a result with Nino Patkashvili taking her point for the Balan Alaskan Knights. A draw on the Arjun Temur board. Nodirbek in a dominating position with an extra piece. Can the Balan Alaskan Knights score another win here? A queen trade has been offered.
And there we have the scorecard. It's 7-1 in the favor of Balan Alaskan Knights.
One more
there.
victory decides it.
And huge update, Sagar, that board 6, the Prodigy board, it
Prague
is
wins.
over. Prague takes his 5th win
Wow.
It's
of the Tech
amazing.
Mahindra Global Chess League.
Amazing.
He's such a big asset. He's playing phenomenally well.
Many of his wins coming with black as well, so they are both more difficult to achieve and also bring more points. So, yeah, fantastic performance by him, but uncharacteristically will not be enough in this particular match, I don't think, because Zhongyi is completely winning, and that should get it done for Balan Alaskan Knights.
Did you see the hesitation on Irina? She doesn't know where to go back with the king, where to move. It's already a difficult position.
Right.
And it all comes down to this. For the players, this is such a tough moment because you know your team is relying on you, but things are falling apart.
Absolutely. I think Irina, no matter how hard she tries here, she cannot save this one. And Balan Alaskan Knights have won it. Wow. Huge result there.
Magnus is still playing, but I'm pretty sure he will win, and once he wins, the score will be
10-9, right?
10-9.
But right now it's 10-5 in the favor of Balan Alaskan Knights. And even if Magnus wins it, it's not going to change the final result.
Yeah.
And Jan Apamnashi, the icon player, he's going to go down to Magnus Carlsen, but his team has done the job for him. So the pressure is off. But we do see him fighting in this position.
Yeah.
White, Jan has got a rook and a pawn against the queen. Any chances of holding this to a draw?
Well, I famously, during, I think, 1/2 a year, scored half a point out of this, playing it with with both colors. First, I failed to win it with the queen, and then I lost it immediately with the rook, so I'm not the best person to ask.
It's a tough position to defend. Look at that. It's a tough moment for this team on the screen.
Now the game will end because we are attacking the rook. We also threatening mate on the h8 square, and the only move you can even make is check from e7. Then the king goes to f6, and you are out of
On the board. And
modes.
we're expecting handshakes this very moment.
There you
and it
go.
happens.
Magnus wins, but not enough for his team. 10-9 for the Balan Alaskan Knights.
A huge victory for the Balan Alaskan Knights as they get the points their way to move up the leaderboard. Magnus and Jan Apamnashi, two players who've known each other since they were kids.
Right.
With a big battle here, have played a world championship match against each other.